So, welcome to this counseling session. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Carolyn, I know you had made a phone call and wanted to talk about a few things in your life, and I figured I would just kind of hear a little bit about yourself and some of your background.
Well, I appreciate you coming and, or me coming in to see you. I am 32.
Okay.
I was born in Switzerland and raised in Italy. So my son was the first one born here in this country. And it's been an adjustment. I have no family here. It's just my son and I. Everybody is still overseas or deceased.
Sure.
So it's lonely here in the States.
Yeah, it can be very difficult, especially as you're trying to make that adjustment. And are you able to get back to Europe to see and to stay connected with family back there?
I do. I make it back often. My mother comes every 2 months or so, and I make it back a few times a year with my son.
So that helps.
It does. It's important, but it's hard to logistically always figure it out with his father and money and time and school and.
Absolutely.
It's hard. It's arduous.
And what have you been doing? I mean, since making the transition from Europe to the States, what are you doing as far as a career and particular goals? What you're interested in?
Well, I came here with my mother originally,
okay.
But she went back when I was in high school, and I was grown, and I was staying. So we found a boarding school in the States.
Oh wow!
And I've been pretty much on my own ever since then.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I went to college. I got a master's in mass communications. Hated every minute of working in radio.
Really?
And had a child.
Yeah.
And, now here I am going back to school, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing, because it's not making cheerleading bows, which is what I currently do.
Fantastic. And do you have any brothers or sisters? Do you still stay connected with them in any way, or are you an only child? Or?
I am an only child from my mother. My father never remarried, so he had never had children.
Okay.
But my mom's been married twice since then.
Okay.
So her second husband, there's like 4 or 5 brothers and sisters. Yeah. Unfortunately, I have no connection with them anymore, which is sad. And then my mom is married now, and he has 4 kids, and we're all within like 4 or 5 years of each other. So we're close, but we're far.
Yeah.
There's one in San Francisco, a few in Chicago. I think one is moving to St. Louis. So.
Are you able to get in touch with them or connect with them on any level here in the States?
I go to weddings.
Yeah. The big family events.
The big things.
Yeah.
I saw my stepsister in California when I went on vacation, but there's not
fairly
that.
Fairly common. A lot of families get together for the bigger events. Well, the fun events like marriages, but sometimes the more sad events like funerals. But
exactly.
But at least you're able to stay. I think that's important. You're able to stay connected with your mom. She's coming over pretty frequently, and you're able to get back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think probably during like the holidays and.
Yeah, we're not a very traditional family.
Yeah.
We're not holiday people.
Yeah.
I think it's because we're all so far away that those traditions never stuck in my family.
Sure. The dynamics are certainly a bit more complex than.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So you said you did masters in mass communication, but just weren't enjoying it. It just sounds to me like it just wasn't the right fit for you.
Completely honest, when I finished my undergraduate, I wanted to go to law school. I took my LSAT, and within like a month of graduating college, I found out I was pregnant. Okay. So that got put on the back burner, and I just was, what can I do to keep that frame of mind of school going?
Yeah.
And because of my GPA, there was like an accelerated 1-year master's program.
Sure. At
Lynn, and I was living in Boca, and it seemed like the right thing to do. There was not any thought. It was extremely impulsive. I'm glad I did it.
Right.
There's this saying in Italian, impara l'arte, mettila da parte. Learn the art and put it aside. So at the very least, it's there somewhere, but I have no interest in it whatsoever.
On some level, do you think there might be a way to connect? Because, look at you got mass communications, and now you're shifting into counseling. An interesting shift, but do you see any connections between those two degrees at all, or is the mass communications sort of the industry was just so kind of intense and just maybe not what you expected that this seems to be like a bit of a better fit for you? Or?
Where I worked was
Yeah.
and I guess it could happen anywhere, but he was extremely narcissistic might
Yeah.
not be the right word, but I worked 17, 18 hours a day and was on call the rest,
Yeah.
and on call to go get him Tylenol because he wasn't feeling well.
Yeah.
And then he'd throw water bottles across the room, and he would tell me that at my age he had work ethic, and it was just way too... it wasn't about the money for me. I learned a lot. I'm glad I did it, but that was my one experience in radio, and that's not for me.
Do you think it kind of soured your outlook on the whole sort of industry, or just...
I definitely generalized. I definitely made it, because he was extremely successful at what he did, and I think I just assumed that that's what you needed to do to get ahead.
Sure.
Not worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe if I was passionate about it, but I wasn't, so.
As far as, so you got the cons, any pros? I mean, certainly maybe one of the pros could have been, that's not what I feel like my life calling might be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so you kind of, maybe by way of negation, you can sort of say, all right, well, I thought that might be it, but now I can kind of maybe hone in on something that is extremely gratifying and rewarding, like shifting into counseling. And
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I learned
Yeah.
a lot about other people.
Yeah.
And, I don't regret it by any means.
Certainly that life experience is going to help you, as it did, but it also... you can kind of translate that into terms that will help others. I mean, you can always see it as a sort of a win-win situation. I mean, unfortunately, these life events happen, and we have to make career changes. But in the end, it's like, all right, there are many people, especially in this particular economic situation, who are probably having to make some pretty serious career changes. So maybe that experience, for you, as I said, can translate into something that can be helpful for others. You've kind of walked the walk.
I hope so.
Yeah.
After that, I was working at a rehab for a while and decided I was going to get my CAP, my Certified Addiction Professional, and did all the educational work for that, and you needed 6,000 hours, like 3 years of full-time work.
Right.
And at the end, you'd basically be limited to working with chemical dependency.
Yeah.
So after about a year and a half into those hours, not for me.
Really?
Okay. It's not for me. So I think I'm a little bit maybe down. Like I'm tired of doing things and finding out what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad I know what I don't want to do, but it'd be nice to.
Right. I feel like at some point you're kind of firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean,
your gifts, your talents. You kind of want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
it's a little bit like, what's wrong with me? Why do I keep not starting and stopping? Because I am finishing, but not getting to where I want to be.
Absolutely.
Up here.
Absolutely, yeah, I know. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. As far as other extracurricular activities, do you find yourself enjoying, because I think one of the things that's important is to have somewhat of a well-integrated life. Yes, you've got work and you're trying to move in the direction of, getting your counseling degree, but do you find that other extracurricular activities are helping you maintain healthy lifestyle, going for a run, leisurely reading, going to the movies? Obviously, you've got a son, so you're a single mom, so I imagine he would take up a fair bit of that extra time. But are you able to kind of decompress every now and then? Because
the last few years, yes, but
Good.
there was definitely a couple-year period in there where I'm fairly all or nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
I'll work 24 hours a day. Even last year, I got caught up in it, making hair, but doing what I'm doing now. I've had the same job.
Yeah.
I worked like 75 hours a week every week and
Sure.
had my son, and it's too much.
It's a lot.
Why? I didn't need the extra money. Could I have used it? I am using it for school, but
Sure.
I didn't need it.
Yeah.
So I question why why I do that rather than.
What the motive was.
But I read a lot.
Good.
That I do. I used to go to the gym. I haven't in a while.
Yeah.
And then I like to travel.
Good.
I like to travel a lot.
I think those things are important, though. I mean, because, in this particular situation, you could say, all right, I am trying to forge my way through life. I did the mass communications thing. That didn't work out. I got my chemical dependency degree and was helping folks in that situation. That didn't work out. And at times you can feel like the odds are stacked against you. And now it seems to me as if you're really beginning to discover, all right, my own gifts, my own talents. Yes, by way of negation, these things haven't worked out, but maybe I can begin to move in this direction and pursue the counseling degree. In addition to that, juggling a few other balls, like my son, which obviously is of primary importance to you, but as well as for you personally, just making sure you have those healthy outlets to kind of integrate into your life. I think is going to help you help others.
I mean, I hope so. That's my goal. I've never been like an Elmo watching mom.
Right.
I couldn't wait to get back to work.
Right.
I couldn't. I like Elmo, but
right after a while,
So I think I also threw myself into work and school and all that because at least I thought it was productive.
Sure.
Reading a book and going for a run and getting my nails done and
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel well, didn't sit right with me,
Yeah.
even though it's important.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I threw myself into those areas a lot after I had my son because I was okay with him going to preschool. I
Right.
was okay with leaving him with the babysitter when, so it's been a balancing act. 'Cause
Yes.
it's like, the guilt and the shame and all that stuff comes in. It's okay if I'm not with my son, but I have to be working, I have to be in school. I shouldn't be doing something for myself during those hours.
Have you found that you have been able to sort of mitigate that sort of all or nothingness and make sure that you do focus,
Yes.
a little bit on yourself?
It's been a work. It's been easier now that he's school age.
Right. Good.
And just as growing up, like I didn't have my mother's role was she was there, but I was raised by nannies, so that was my experience, and I knew I didn't want that, but I seem to be perpetuating that.
Yeah.
So it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
As I get older and speak to more mothers, I realize it's not uncommon.
Correct.
But
yes. Good.
I just thought that when you have a child, you automatically like to watch Elmo and Sesame Street all day, and you automatically like it's just supposed to come that
Sure.
you.
That's what you do.
That's it's.
Yeah, and then you need professional counseling because you've
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
just
lack that
completely-
clearly.
Right.
Clearly.
I mean,
Like
Elmo,
Gene.
the constant, the constant inundation of an Elmo character would require anybody to have serious professional counseling.
Absolutely.
But no, that's good that you recognize that. Terrific. What do you think as far as the master's in counseling goes and looking at your life and taking all of this and now trying to move in this direction, the all or nothing attitude, as you've already experienced, many moms deal with that. Are you interested in moving in the direction of more marriage and family counseling or mental health or a little bit of both, or is there any...
I have such a crazy dynamic in my family that, to be honest, I don't know if I'm ready. I mean, hopefully by the time I'm done with school and my licensure and all that,
Right.
some of that will be resolved for me,
Right.
and I can feel like I could help without my own issues getting in the way.
Yeah.
I enjoy, ironically, because I didn't like watching Elmo, enjoy children,
Okay.
other people's children. And I've had, I don't want to say traumatic childhood, but a lot of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of chaos in my son's life as a result of my own choices and his father's choices. And there's something really precious about it. There's something innocent. And I was blessed with the right help as a child, I think.
Good.
I still went wherever I went and had to go.
Good.
But there's something to that support there. There's something to somebody that can understand and knows the way that I don't know. I'm not the appropriate person to do that with my child. And so there's something there that's tender in my heart for that.
Yeah.
Teenagers are awful for me, so I might be good with them though, given the way I was as a teenager. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Good stuff. Well, I think that about does it. I think we're good for time. And Carolyn, thanks for coming on in.
Thank you so much. It's nice meeting you.
My pleasure.
See you next week.
See you.